So after President Trump said he's replacing VA Secretary David Shulkin, Shulkin penned a farewell in the New York Times, which was angry, justifiably so. He made the place better, he served his country, and no one likes to be fired. I should know. 3 times. But I got one beef. He claims he was fired because he opposed privatizing the bureaucracy, claiming the private sector couldn't handle these types of patients. But how do we know that? The difference between public and private is what enabled the VA tragedy in the first place. The difference was accountability. In the free market, there are consequences to actions. If you suck, you suffer. You go out of business. In the public sector, there's often no real costs to your blunders, which is why when things are bad, it takes years to fix them, like the VA. But where there's accountability, there are standards. If you want evidence, look around you. You live in the greatest country the world's ever seen, and it's one built on competition, which rewards the competent and punishes its opposite. The market works faster in eradicating problems because it can't put up with them. Shulkin did a good job, but he did a good job after a really bad job by a bureaucracy immune to competitive pressure. By bashing privatization without any proof, Shulkin defends a system that's not as good as he is. So maybe let's try a new approach. If it doesn't work, at least the free market won't try to hide it. So, Dana, I think Shulkin did do a good job, but he was starting at less than 0 at the VA, which means it's like taking, let's say you become coach of an 0-16 NFL team, and you get it to 3-13.
In some eyes, for some fans, you're a hero.
Yeah. So
I think this is a very complex problem. It's been going on for decades, actually, and even the disagreements between the Department of Defense and the VA, like no president has been able to bring them together and get them to solve their differences. This question about privatization, it always sounds very alarming, except for when you think about a veteran who might live in a rural community and doesn't have access to an immediately near hospital, VA hospital. Should they be allowed to have then a private voucher to go and get treatment at the nearest hospital to them rather than having to travel so far? Or what happens a lot is they forego treatment.
Right.
And so that they're left alone. So I do think that innovation has been stymied at the department for decades. I actually think that he was not let go because of performance at the department as much as it was questionable ethical behavior in regards to being in the news for things that are unpleasant to be in the news about, that he handled afterwards, but the trips overseas with the wife and all that, it was just getting to be too much to bear.
Well, what do you think about that, Dana, it says about innovation? I think in public agencies, when you don't have accountability, innovation is slowed, and also just accountability in general prevents quality from coming to the fore. Do you agree in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what you say is true. I mean, the private sector tends to be more punishing for failure.
Yeah.
But what I think we're overlooking here is, and Dana touched on this is not a new debate. Privatization has been a long-term discussion with regard to how we treat our veterans in terms of their medical needs. And what's come up in the debate, and believe me, it's been a full-throated debate, is that, gee, you know, oftentimes veterans are suffering from things like post-traumatic stress and trauma, combat trauma, or they're having brain injuries of a type that are only suffered on the battlefield and the like, and that the VA had developed specializations and even innovations in how you handle these issues. And that the private sector did not have it and did not have an incentive because there's how many such situations do you see in ordinary life? And by the way, Dana, with regard to people who live in rural areas distant from VA hospitals, they already give out vouchers and so forth. So what you have now, though, is a situation, according to Shulkin and some of the reporting that I've seen this morning, that where President Trump is of a mind that there needs to be privatization. He doesn't want to hear about the argument. He doesn't want to hear about the debate. So Shulkin writes in his op-ed, hey, this is not an honest conversation. This is about pursuing a political agenda. And he notes, by the way, Greg, high levels of, right now, approval from veterans for the VA. I think he said 70%.
Yeah, but to Kimberly, my point to that was that it was so bad when he took it over that any improvement would be taken as welcome relief.
Yeah, absolutely, because it was just abysmal in terms of the abuses that were happening, and it's still a very serious problem that they have with the VA, and you know, the Admiral taking it over now is really going to have, you know, a tough time because there are so many abuses there. There's corruption. It's very difficult to terminate anybody for lack of competence and whatnot, and so he's going to be stuck with sort of trying to rebuild and rehabilitate the culture at the VA, but with, you know, an earnest heart and a firm hand, he should be able to do that. And if he wins the confidence of the people there, hopefully they will be emboldened and passionate about it to help the veterans, because they really do deserve our very best.
Jesse, last word. Make it count.
Okay. I would say that a cabinet secretary is never going to be able to fully control a bureaucracy. They can only seek to tame it. And in terms of Shulkin, he did an average job. So you have a lot of good things that happen where they have the Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act, so you can fire and discipline bad apples within the VA. And then also, as Juan said, they expanded the mental health care for veterans returning overseas that were predisposed to suicide. But the ethical lapses were troubling. I mean, he's taking his wife on a European sightseeing and shopping tour, then lied about it, had to reimburse 6 figures. The privatization thing, yeah, of course, that's an argument. But I look at this. Last year, last March, the Inspector General found that the VA was still lying about wait times, that they were saying there's actually a 36% rate that veterans had to wait longer than a month. They lied and said it was only 10%. And then so about 13,000 in Virginia got the choice program. As you said, you get to go to a private hospital. And they never let them go to the private hospital. And they had to wait 3 months to go to the private hospital. So that's last March. This March, same thing. The audit found the same thing. They're fudging the numbers on the wait lines. I think that had a lot to do with it, too.
All right. There you go.